See, the trouble is that we've been told a great lie.
A great lie.
That we need others to validate our worth. That love must come from outside. And that without someone cheering us on, we somehow lack the strength to move. But when a man finally sits down and listens to the silence within himself, he discovers something infinitely more powerful than applause or affection. He discovers himself. Now, the man who walks through fire with no hand to hold, no eyes watching, no praise waiting at the end, that man is dangerous. Not in the sense of violence, but in the sense of unshakable being. He knows he is not here to be liked. He is not here to be coddled. He is here to rise.
And rise.
And rise he does.
He does.
Not despite the solitude, but because of it. You must understand, love is not something owed to you. Support is not a guarantee. People come and go. Affection wanes. Alliances fade. But when you are left with no shoulder to lean on, no soft voice to reassure you, that is when you finally touch the raw material of your soul. That is where the fire begins, because everything borrowed eventually returns. The support you leaned on will one day disappear. The love you clung to will one day be redirected. The safety nets will tear and the comforts will dissolve. And you, if you've lived your life depending on them, will fall with them. But if you face the storm alone, it will strip you of illusion. It will take what you thought you needed, friends, lovers, status, titles, and it will crush them in front of you, not to destroy you, but to show you what you never really needed. And in that moment of apparent loss, something stirs. Not desperation, not panic, but clarity. It's like the man who wakes up in a forest, abandoned, cold, starving, and instead of collapsing in tears, he builds a fire, carves a spear, and learns to hunt. Why? Because he must. And not because he's fearless, but because there is no other option. The man who has no one left to rely on has only one choice left: to become something new. It's a peculiar thing, solitude. At first, it gnaws at you. The mind panics. Where is everyone? Why doesn't anyone care? But then, slowly, the noise fades. The fear dies. And you hear something deeper. A quiet power. A steady flame. And it's always been there, beneath the layers of noise and need, waiting for you to see it. And when you do, you stop asking for strength. You stop begging for love. You stop needing encouragement. Because you've become the source. You don't seek a lifeline. You become one. Not for others, that comes later, but first for yourself.
Joy.
You become the one man in your life who will not leave you. The one voice that does not lie to you. The one presence that cannot abandon you. There is no tragedy in being alone. The only tragedy is never having met yourself. The world teaches you to collect people like possessions. It tells you to define your value by how many eyes look at you with admiration, how many hands reach out. He doesn't seek permission to rise because his rise is inevitable. He is not waiting for a savior. He has become one for himself. When the world offers nothing, no praise, no softness, no hand to hold, He smiles. Because that is the moment he's been waiting for. That is the moment he steps forward, alone, not as a victim, but as a force. When you begin to walk the path alone, the world will resist. It will call you selfish, cold, heartless, but only because your strength reminds them of their dependence, only because your silence mirrors their noise. And so they will call you dangerous. Let them, because the truth is, you are. You're dangerous to the illusions they protect. You're dangerous to the weakness they cling to. You're dangerous to the idea that without love or help, a man must fall. Because you don't fall. You stand, you rise, you walk forward with no map, no guide, and no applause. And that terrifies them. But here's the beauty in all of this. Once you've embraced the loneliness, it's no longer loneliness. It becomes solitude. It becomes power. It becomes peace. You no longer feel the ache for company, not because you hate people, but because you become enough. And that is the greatest act of rebellion in a world that profits from your emptiness. To be full without them, this is not the path of the many. It never was. Most will chase comfort. They'll chase validation. They'll chase affection and call it love. They'll avoid pain and call it peace. But the man who dares to walk without a crutch, he finds something different. He finds truth. Not the kind of truth that shouts, the kind that whispers. The kind you find when there's no one left to impress, when there's nothing left to prove, when it's just you and the silence. And in that silence, something speaks back, something ancient, something wild, something that was always there beneath the surface of your fear. You see, when you've lived without support, every ounce of progress feels sacred. Every small win is yours, and yours alone. And it's not just achievement, it's transformation. You don't become better, you become real. You stop performing and start living. You stop surviving and start becoming. And in this way, your scars become stories, not of weakness, but of birth. Each wound a lesson, each failure a furnace, each abandonment a teacher, until you no longer curse the silence, but thank it, because without it, you would have never heard yourself think. Without love, you learn to love yourself, not with affirmations or delusions, but with action, with care, with boundaries. You stop chasing what leaves and start nurturing what stays. You, your breath, your work, your mission. And slowly you become a man who is unmoved by chaos, because his peace is internal. This is not a fantasy, it is not mythology. It is something real, and it is within reach of every man. If he's willing to lose everything he thought he needed, if he's willing to endure the withdrawal from external love, if he's willing to sit with the fear of being unseen and unfavored, because beyond that fear lies something unimaginable.